Hello YouTubers, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. Got this lighted tree topper star and it's been a favorite for a number of years. Just this year we went to put it up and the lights don't work anymore. So it turns out that it takes these odd type of mini bulbs that are 12 volts. They're harder to come by and they're a little more expensive than your common bulbs. So I'm going to show you how I modified this to use standard 2.5 volt Christmas tree bulbs. So the nice thing about this tree topper is that you can open it up and replace the bulbs inside. I've already taken the guts out. As you can see, it's got 10 bulbs in it. So 120 volts divided by 10 is 12 volts. So these are 12 volt bulbs. And I've already taken them out here. Went to look for them at the stores, and most stores don't have them in stock. On Amazon, they're about $5 for a pack of 5 or so. So chances are that 5 of them were bad, and chances are the other 5 are going to go bad. So I figure that's $10. Yeah, I could do that. Went to Menards, and this is 11 lights. This thing was $7. I was like, yeah, I could destroy this tree topper and put the bulbs in this. But then I got to thinking, this is a 200 light string that I'm throwing away because I'm tired of messing with it, and I've cannibalized most of the bulbs from it anyway. But these light strings use very common 2.5 volt bulbs. 2.5 times 50 is 125 volts, so they work in groups of 50s. So you'll see 50s, 100s, and 200 light sets, and they're just wired in sets of 50s. So these bulbs are 2.5 volts, and I got to thinking, I've got a bunch of these power supplies laying around. This is a 12 volt power supply from an old router. This is a pretty typical 12 volt power supply. 500 milliamps is plenty for these lights, and you can buy this at the store. They're pretty common. They got some that you can switch and use different voltages and stuff, but chances are you can find a lot of these out of the trash, and that's what I was going to do with some of this stuff, so might as well use it. So I've already doctored up this set. I basically took 5 bulbs and unwove them, cut them, and these are 5 in series here. I cut 5 more out in series and then just tie these two together. I'm going to take about 6 feet of wire from these, just bare wire, and I am going to splice it into this power supply. Okay, this is what it looks like after the wires are connected. It's about 6 foot of green wire that I just wove out of the strands. And just make sure that if you use electrical tape, that you wrap each connection separately to prevent shorts, and then you could wrap the whole thing in electrical tape. I just use a generous amount. You can also use wire nuts too, or as some people call them, arrays. But electrical tape works fine if you just wrap each one separately and use a generous amount. So let's try this out. Okay, put this guy in there, and hey, look at that. Looks good. So we're looking at 12 volts, 5 bulbs wired in series, and then 5 more wired in parallel with that. So each bulb sees 2.4 volts, and the bulbs are 2.5 volt bulbs. They still are pretty bright. So I'm not worried about any kind of fire risks, as 12 volts is pretty low voltage. So it should be good. Okay, so this is what it looks like after the bulbs have been put back in. I used a little bit of tape around the sockets to tighten it up a little bit. Because these are 2.5 volt bulbs, they should burn cooler than the original 12-volt bulbs. Okay, and there you have it. Merry Christmas.